Well, we are back again for another one of these. It's been a bit of a long hiatus, but I think I'm finally back. Well, this is only a series of Ramblings 11, but we'll just treat this as some type of comeback, I guess. Because well, I mean, it's only been 2 weeks since we done one of these, so I'm starting to try and get back into some type of normality, I guess. I guess is probably the correct word. Right, let me get rid of this. But yeah, it's just because, at this point, it's been like 4 months. I still can't believe it's been 4 months since I put a video out. And that was, what was that, Loki? Yeah, the first episode of Loki Season 2 couldn't continue without train wreck. How's it going, Biffer, as well? I've seen you in the chat there. So that's kind of the plan at the minute. I want to try and get back to this, I guess a bit more regular. Because yeah, it's been way too long. I still haven't reached like the sort of where you need to reach to get fucking money off this yet. That's just how little I've been doing on this. But yeah, so that's kind of at the moment. I'm just going to be at a streaming capacity, I suppose. It'll be a few of these a week, maybe. It could be anywhere from 1 to 5. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because I need something to get me back into the swing of things. I just need something where I'm like, right, I'm back in. I've got a bit of my mojo back. That's kind of what I'm hoping. So we're gonna be doing a few of these a week. I may put out some clips, things like that. And I suppose the only other thing is we've still got Echo to review, so I'm gonna do a breakdown for that on Saturday. Because the reason why it's taken me so long to cover that is because I was writing a script to review it. I got to the end of episode 5, and I'm like, I don't want to sit and edit this for a week, so fuck it. I was gonna do like a video for my new channel for it, and I was just like, it's not worth the effort. With that Echo show, it's just especially in the final episode, there is nothing to talk about. So I'm just like, do I even want to bother? Probably not. So yeah, we'll do a stream going through every episode. Because honestly, it's going to take less time than it did with the Marvels. It took us, 3.5 hours to break down the Marvels. I'm thinking with Echo, 5 episodes, 3.5 hours long in total. That's probably going to take us about an hour and a half to break down, because there is nothing in that show. I'm just that. It's honestly got to be with this Echo series. It's got to be at the very top of the most boring characters we've ever seen throughout the MCU. There's just nothing to her. She's not a character. Just fucking so boring. I've never seen a character just have nothing to offer. Just like, I'm just going to have these 3 same looks. And that's about all I'm going to give you. So we'll go over that on Saturday. But yeah, as I said, I don't think it would take long. But the scripts that I was doing, I think it was probably going to be like an hour-long video. I was just like, I don't want to sit and edit that for, a week or however long it takes. So I'll just kind of save myself for when Madam Web comes out. That's something we'll talk about as well later on. So at the moment, I'm just trying to figure out, what's my next video for this new channel, and then sort of in between, I got to get back into this channel as well, just at some capacity until I get myself back into it. But we might as well get into some of what we're going to talk about. We've got a bit of the Oscar nominations. We're all looking forward to not watching that, so that will be great. We've got Madam Web. There's some things to talk about with that. There was also a Rolling Stone article about Star Wars, which is, that's been the new, as I put in the title, Nontroversy. Something was said that is true, and some people didn't quite like it. But yeah, that was to do with Star Wars theory. So we'll talk a little bit. I'm not going to read the whole article because it's like we've kind of went through a lot of this stuff before. What else have we got? And I suppose we'll talk a little bit about the Indiana Jones game. We'll kind of save that for last, I reckon, because I've not got too much to say on that. But I think we'll start with the Oscars anyway, because that's probably the boring part of this stream. There's some films on there where it's like, yeah, that should probably win it. There's some films that aren't on there that probably should. And there's some films, of course, on there that shouldn't be there at all. So we'll kind of just go over the list. Maybe it will spark something, some type of discussion with myself, I guess. But, we know how the Oscars, who's watching the Oscars, really? The only way at this point you're getting anyone to watch the Oscars is if you have, Ricky Gervais host, or if you have Dave Chappelle host. That's really the only time anyone's going to bother to watch the Oscars. And I think even in that case, it's like most people are just going to record it and skip the parts with all the other shit. But that's really their only way of actually getting watched. Is you need stuff like that. Let me just bring this up. Yeah, this will be it here. I will zoom in a little bit. Because, there's some films on here that, I've still yet to see. There's some films that I'm probably never going to see. I think that kind of goes for most of them. But these were the ones for, best American fiction. I've heard good things about that, and I've heard bad things about that. So I'm not really, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really say on that. There's a lot of films on here that I just, I haven't had the chance to see. Anatomy of a Fool, I've heard of that. I'm not really, I don't really have any interest in it. Then, of course, you've got the heavy hitter Barbie, because that should be in the best picture list. I can only really assume that the reason why Barbie's in the list is because of popularity. That would be my, to try and get some people fucking watching it. Because I haven't seen Barbie, but I'm willing to bet it is not, a masterpiece, a great American picture. It's just some shitty film. About the patriarchy and, shit like that. So probably shouldn't be on there, but I think it's just down to the fact that, they need to get people to watch this shit. And that's probably the only thing they can do. Unless they do want to, go with the likes of getting a Ricky Gervais to host it. Because, I mean, the recent things they've done, what was it recently? The Emmys? Where they had that Joe Coy on, he started apologizing and all that sort of stuff. Because I've seen some of that guy's specials and some of it was funny. But then in that, he's like, really, it's like, no, you're just a bit of a pussy, aren't you? I'd love to see Dave Chappelle hosting it. Because I think the two specials that came out at the end in December, what was it? Ricky Gervais' one and Dave Chappelle's one. I thought I preferred Dave Chappelle's one in that year. I just felt like the recent Ricky Gervais one wasn't as good as his previous ones. It just wasn't as funny, I guess. Whereas Dave Chappelle one that was really fucking funny. But that would be just as hilarious as having Ricky Gervais. Because I don't see Dave Chappelle giving a shit whatsoever. So you've had the Holdovers. I've still got that on my list to see. Because I've heard nothing but good things about that, and it's definitely the type of film up my alley. But I haven't had the chance because I'm trying to get Buffy and Angel finished, so that's why I've kind of hit the pause button on watching loads and loads of films, just so I can finish that off. And to be honest, I'm that kind of pulled into, Buffy and all that, that nothing else really interests me at the moment. You got Killers of the Flower Moon. I watched that, a couple of weeks ago. I guess it was good. It was a good film. I didn't really get into it that much. I found that it was I think it was a bit too long. I didn't really think it justified how long it was. And I mean, it's just it wasn't up there with, like, my favorite Martin Scorsese films. It wasn't up there with The Departed or Taxi Driver. Because I know that was one of your favorites of the year, wasn't it, Biffa? So yeah, I didn't like that as much as I hoped I would. You had great performances and stuff like that. It's not a film. I guess it's just one of those films that I wasn't as interested in. I think that's what the problem was. But yeah, I can understand why that's on here. You've got Maestro. I'm going to watch that at some point, but that's kind of been one of those I haven't been in a rush to see. Just kind of when I get around to it, I'll watch it. But I've heard good things about that as well. Oppenheimer. I think that's an obvious one why it's on here. That's definitely one of the best ones of last year. That really is just. I don't really think anything else has came close to it, at least in terms of Hollywood. Because I would definitely. I'm kind of in between Oppenheimer, The Killer, and Godzilla -1. That would probably be my top 3 picks. Be those ones. But yeah, I seen Oppenheimer about 6 months after it had come out, so I was way behind. Past Lives, is that I can't I ain't seen that one. But I don't know if I'm confusing that for a Japanese film. I'm not sure. You've got Poor Things. That's kind of a film I've heard mixed things on. It's definitely a film I'm interested in seeing. Because the guy that made this, I still want to see The Favourite. I know he did that one. I've still got that to see as well. And then The Zone of Interest. That was one that I heard was just depressing as fuck. It was to do with a family that lived next door to Auschwitz, and you hear all the, what's going on in there. So that sounded quite depressing. So I don't know if I'm going to end up seeing that. Then you've got, actors in leading roles. A lot of this is, like, pretty obvious. Bradley Cooper in Maestro. Coleman Domingo in Rustin. I haven't heard of that. Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers. Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer. Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. I mean, yeah, most of that you've got top-tier actors, really. At least in terms with Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, Jeffrey Wright. Yeah, I'm surprised Leonardo DiCaprio isn't on there, actually, because he was quite good in Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, again, with, like, Leonardo DiCaprio, it's like, you always know what you're going to get. You always know it's going to be, a great performance. So maybe that's why he's not on there. I don't know, because he's won Oscars before, hasn't he? I was pretty sure he had, anyway. And of course, the big thing that's going about with, actors in leading roles, or rather, actors and actresses, is the fact that you've got, actor in supporting role. Ryan Gosling is up for an award, or nomination rather, but yet you've got no Margot Robbie, which, again, I've seen stuff from, in particular, that America Ferrera, saying, oh, she should have won this and that because it was a great, this and that performance. It's like she just played Barbie. I just, not having seen Barbie, it should be pretty obvious that Margot Robbie probably isn't going to give the best performance ever. She's just playing fucking Barbie. It's not serious. So I don't really know why there would be an expectation of, being in that sort of, up for a nomination. Yeah, America. Yeah, because she's on here, but from what I understand, she just had that cringe speech at the end, moaning about being a woman and how great men have got it and all that. Because what was the speech? Oh, women have to take shit like that. It's like, well, yeah. Um, yeah, I haven't actually heard of the what do you call it NYAD, or is it just NIAD or NIAD? But yeah, I haven't actually looked into that. I don't think I've seen it advertised. It kind of rings a bell, like, oh, I've heard of it. I've heard the title, but I'm not sure what it is. No, IAD. All right. But yeah, I haven't. Yeah, maybe I'll look into it then. Because I haven't heard of it. So that's kind of what you're looking at for actors. Robert De Niro, that's an obvious one. Robert Downey Jr., again. Ryan Gosling, I'm not really sure how Ryan Gosling's there. But from what the sort of gist that I get is that people liked Ryan Gosling in Barbie. He's quite charismatic. So maybe that explains why he's in there. But I'm never gonna watch Barbie, so I'm never really gonna know. So a lot of it is just mostly obvious. There's not really a lot of different choices. It's pretty much all the way through. It's like, well, Oppenheimer. It's all that. It's Barbie. There's not really anything that's sort of out of the ordinary. You've got animated feature films. I haven't seen any of these. I've heard of The Boy and the Heron. What is it? Is it about a yellow chair or something like that? I don't know if that's that film. Elemental, that was Disney's one. That fucking Pixar. That was Pixar. Nimona, I haven't heard of it. Robot Dreams, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm probably going to watch them at some point, but I haven't had any interest really. No interest at all. So I reckon some of those, I guess, make sense why they're in there. Cinematography, again, it's not for lack of a better term, there isn't a lot of diversity here. Which is something I thought the Oscars cared about deeply. You've got Killers of the Flower Moon. That was probably, I really like the soundtrack of Killers of the Flower Moon. When it's sort of got it's at the very start when it's showing how these natives made their money. I really like that music throughout the film. Just that sort of nice bassy sound. So I did quite like the soundtrack for it. Maestro, again, I haven't seen it. Oppenheimer, that's one that I would say should win it. There was a lot of great stuff in there. Costume design, again, costume design. It's like you can't really go wrong with costume design, unless you're the CW or something like that. So yeah, you've got. I still haven't seen Napoleon. You said it wasn't Biffa. You said it wasn't very good. I'm kind of just waiting for the extended edition, and then I'll go. Then I'll kind of watch it then and see. But yeah, from what I understand, people don't have a great deal of good things to say about it. Directing. Again, just films that you would expect to be on there. Documentaries that no one's ever heard of, so we can skip those. Film editing, that's again a lot of the same films that are already up. International films. The only one I've heard of is Society of the Snow. I've heard good things about that. That's on Netflix, I think. Makeup and hairstyling, couldn't give a fuck less. Music original score, it has Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on there. There was nothing memorable about that score. But, when the story's as shit as it was, I find it hard to really pull myself into the music of it. So I can't really say what that is. I think Oppenheimer's soundtrack I would have to listen to sort of remember it. That's a shame that that's John Williams' last film. Who knows? I think John Williams said it depends. If something comes up, he'll do another score. I think he's retired, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if something crops up that I'm interested in, maybe I'll do it. So let's hope that's not his last one. But yeah, as I say, the Killers of the Flower Moon, that's really, it's a memorable score. I quite liked it. You got like I'm Just Ken from Barbie. You got those types of ones. Production design, wouldn't really have a problem with any of those. But I do want to have a look at the. You've got sound. I don't know if it's just me, but I find it hard to tell if something's good sound. I haven't got a clue. Because you always hear that about films. It's this film's got great sound design, and I'm just like, I don't really know what that means. I'd find it hard to know. But that's got the creator. From what I understand about that film, the visuals are great, but the story's a bit naff, a bit daft, I suppose. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. That's just, every time I see that title, it just kind of disappoints me. I'm just constantly disappointed. What it could have been, and we got fucking load of AI bullshit that just made absolutely no sense. So then you've got visual effects, and this is probably the more interesting one, because I think there is a certain film here that should probably be up for Best Picture. Because that is probably one of the best films I've seen last year. So you got the creator, and then of course you've got Godzilla -1, made on a budget less than $15 million. It looks great. There's not a lot of wonky CGI or anything like that. But I would honestly, it should be up for Best Picture. Had a lot going on for it. I don't. Whenever it comes to this film, I'm not sure if it's worth going into it, because I don't want to spoil it for the odd person that might not have seen it. To be honest, I seen it quite late. I only watched it 2 weeks ago, and I was just kind of like, I probably should have seen this earlier, because it was definitely up there for the best films of last year. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, visual, I guess. That's one of those ones where it's like, I don't know. There was a lot of sludge in there, a lot of sludgy CGI. There wasn't really anything that distinguished itself from Ant-Man Quantumania or anything like that. It was quite similar. Just pretty much everything was CGI. But Guardians 3. That's another disappointment of last year. Then Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Napoleon. Then you've got writing, adapted screenplay. Should Barbie be in there? Probably not. But yeah, that kind of gives you an idea, sort of what's getting what. I mean, it's probably Oppenheimer's probably gonna win a few awards. Maybe Barbie will win one. Some of them it's kind of hard to tell. But I'm pretty sure I would bet my money on that Oppenheimer's going to get Best Picture. But I guess we will have to see on that. But that's the Oscars list. I'm probably not even going to find out what wins, because I won't be paying that much attention to it. It's just, I imagine it's probably going to get more eyes on it than usual, just because of Barbie and Oppenheimer. So that's my guess on why Barbie has as many awards as it does. But what is it, 8? 8 nominations. Most of them probably doesn't justify it, but yeah, it's probably just, it's popular. Throw it on there. We need some type of audience here. But yeah, I honestly, I can't remember the last time I watched the Oscars. It's got to be at least 15 years ago. You know, it's one of those. Even when people did watch it, it's like, you know, I don't necessarily care. I think in the only sense that I do care is, you know, it's kind of nice for good films to, you know, to sort of get, you know, get their sort of respect, I guess. That's kind of the only thing where I'm like, yeah, like, I quite like it for that reason. Outside of that, when it's just, you know, shitty film after shitty film sort of getting picked, it's like, you know, what is this really worth? But yeah, I don't think I've watched it in like 15 years. Probably longer than that. I must have been about 8 when I last watched it. So yeah, that's probably, yeah, that would be about 20 years ago then. But the Oscars are coming. You know, we're all looking forward to that. So the other thing we were going to jump into, because that's another thing that's soon to come, is Madam Web. Where at the moment its opening weekend is already below Morbius. Record low of 39 million just for its opening weekend. My prediction for how much money this is going to make, I don't like, sort of its total. I kind of want to say 156. You know, I'll go with that, 156. I don't know what Sony were thinking with doing Madam Web. It's like nobody knows who the fuck that is. Just nobody. You couldn't pick, you know, a character that like more than this that nobody knows. They just, Madam Web. You know, that's just, you know, that just happens to be. We've got a very limited amount of, you know, Spider-Man Marvel characters, so we'll just throw that out there. You know, it kind of looks like a very bad early 2000s film. That's the impression I get. You know, we already seen the great dialogue, like, oh, my mother was this and that. She was in the jungle until she came upon a spider. Fucking awful. I don't know whose idea it was to put that in the trailer. Maybe save that just in the film. But even the marketing around this film has been strange. I don't know if anybody's seen, because it was Dakota James. She done some marketing thing where it was more of, is this an ad for Pornhub? That's how it came across. It was like, does Dakota James want to fuck me? Is that what it is? Like she can't, like the way she was talking in like this sexy voice, like, oh, you're gonna love it, you're gonna come twice and all that. I'm like, fucking hell. To be honest, that made me want to go and see it. I'm not gonna lie. But it was just like, oh, have you got an OnlyFans? Is that what this is? And then of course you got the other side of it, where it seems like every superhero thing these days, they now have to announce that this is grounded in reality, because that's been the phrase floating about this film. I think it was the main actress saying this, just saying, oh, it's so grounded in reality. You're just kind of like, well, it's not, is it? It's about some fucking woman with spider powers that can see the future. It's not really grounded in reality, is it? But it seems to be a knee-jerk reaction to people just bored or just sort of over the superhero genre. You know, they seem to think, oh, well, it's because of the multiverses, which, yes, it is. But it's not about, oh, we need it to be grounded. But that seems to be the sort of lesson they've taken, is, oh, if we tell the people this is grounded in reality, even though it's obviously not, then that will make them interested, because we're different from the multiversal saga and all that type of stuff. Because it just, every superhero thing says it now. Says, oh, we're grounded. They did it with Echo as well. Said, oh, this is so grounded in reality, even though Echo gets powers from fucking native aliens, and then she can do things that aren't specified. And they've got the nerve to say, oh, it's grounded. Well, it's not, is it? There's nothing grounded about it. But that it honestly seems to be because of the sort of The feeling towards superhero films now is they've got to put that out there because they must think that's what the problem is. They don't know the problem is. No, it's just fucking terrible. You know, even if it was multiverses, really all that matters is it good or not? You know, that's the key. But they just think it's, oh no, it just has to have a certain tone. They just don't like this. No, it's just shit. That's what the issue is. But that's just a constant. Everything that comes out now, you know, that is in the superhero genre, they all have to say, "Oh, we're grounded in reality." Oh right, so that doesn't change anything. So yeah, at the moment with its opening weekend, it's like this. I don't. This isn't really a surprise. You know, you're already contending with the fact that nobody knows who Madam Web is. You know, nobody's ever heard of her. You know, the trailer, terrible. There was nothing enticing about it. It just looked like generic sludge from you know, the early 2000s. That's kind of what it looked like. There's just nothing there that says, oh, this is going to be popular. You know, I'm pretty sure. Well, I'd like to think Sony were well aware of that nobody's going to be interested in this. What this film is, this is the meme movie of 2024. You know, it's a meme. That's all this film is. It's not a real film. You know, it's really not. But yeah, it does not look very good whatsoever. So yeah, already record low 39 million. I'm predicting less than that. I think in total it's not going to hit 200 million. I don't think there's any way of that happening. That's what I think round about 156. You know, we'll cut when it comes out. We'll come back to that and see if I'm correct. So yeah, so as it says here, where is it? So yeah, its budget is 80 million, which that's like just say 150. Like if you're, are they not spent more on the marketing than the film? I'm pretty sure that's what I've heard. And the market, you know, we had the marketing of Dakota James wants to, Dakota Johnson, or I was calling her James for some reason. You know, aside from Dakota Johnson coming out and saying, come and sign up to my OnlyFans, that's probably what she should have said. Then it would make a bit more sense. Other than that, there hasn't been much marketing. So I don't know how they've spent more than what the budget is. You know, I'm just kind of going off what I've heard. I don't know how much truth there is to that. So yeah, looking at its long-range forecast, it's predicted Madam Web will make a total of somewhere between 56 million on the low end and 101 million on the high end, and that's just domestically. I think that's way too generous. I think even the 56 million for that is way too generous. So yeah, it's probably going to do worse than Morbius. Again, I just this comes across as it's just a meme. You know, it's just a meme of a movie. I'm probably gonna, because I'm definitely gonna do a video, like a review of it on my new channel. And then sort of after that, we haven't really got much coming up. You know, we're kind of, there's not a lot of Marvel stuff, which can only be a good thing, really. I mean, well, mainly it's on the Sony side of things. You know, we got Kraven the Hunter, Madam Web, and Venom 3. So they've kind of got the most stuff coming out. With, you know, Disney, Marvel, it's all what is it? Deadpool 3, that's the only film coming out. We've had Echo, and the other thing we've got is Agatha, that nobody's going to watch. So it's, yeah, really quiet on the Marvel front, which, you know, I'm kind of glad with. You know, it gets to a point where it's so hard to keep up with everything. There's just that much stuff that they pump out. And every single one is the exact same result. So yeah, I'm not expecting much for Madam Web. I think it would just be a good laugh to. It'll be kind of one of those films that's funny to sort of do a breakdown for. It'd be a good laugh because nothing's going to make any sense. There's going to be a lot of cringe. That's kind of what the feeling I get from it. So probably not going to go over very well. I think there was another article actually that I forgot to bring up before we sort of move on from Madam Web. Let me just see. Because yeah, I think when I sort of sorted out all the articles I was going to go over, I think I missed some of it. I'm trying to what was it? Yeah, I think it was an AV Club article where it was sort of an interview, I think, with Dakota Johnson. Yeah, that was it there. It's right for some reason that oh no, it's back. It just went all white there for some reason. So yeah, this was an article that came out Sunday, where Dakota Johnson doesn't know if Madam Web will be any good, but she hopes you did okay. I'm surprised that I'm surprised if I could even say in that. But I want to see what the actual quote is. Let me see. So yeah, that's the hilarious line. He was in the Amazon researching spiders with my mum before she died. But let's see what they say. Will this be any good? It seems confident in its oddness. And Clarkson has done good work in the superhero space before. Clarkson. S.J. Clarkson. S.J. Clarkson. Is that, well, he's the same guy that done Morbius, so, okay. He's done good work in the superhero space before, and it seems to have some new ideas about how to make a Spider-Man adjacent film that Morbius didn't have. Again, it's like the idea that you're going to do a Spider-Man adjacent film and it's going to, it's just like, I don't really see any interest in that. It's like the money is in Spider-Man. That's what people give a shit about. Not, Madam Web is like a side character. That's not someone you give her own film to. It just isn't. That Morbius didn't have, so maybe it will be cool. Doubt it. Either way, we don't really know what to expect. It's just going to be really generic and bad. That's kind of what I expect. And it turns out neither does star Dakota Johnson. Speaking with Entertainment Weekly, Johnson said that Madam Web was her first time working with such a CG-heavy movie. There's fake explosions going off, and someone's going explosion, and you act like there's an explosion. Yeah, it must be fucking boring. I'd honestly hate that. If I was an actor and you have to cut, it's just kind of like, I'd rather be acting across from someone, something like that, rather than looking at, I don't know, green tennis balls. So she says the experience was absolutely psychotic. She added that she doesn't know if this is going to be good at all. I mean, just it's obvious. But she's hopeful that she at least did a good job. Through it all, though, Johnson trusted Clarkson to, it's just a really funny way to market your film. It's like, I kind of expect them to just lie, but just to go, I don't know if it's going to be any good. At least she's being honest, I suppose. But it's like, you probably want to try and excite people a bit more. Not just go, well, maybe it's good, I don't know. Maybe have some passion, at least. So that was quite a funny little quote that came out of that. But yeah, it's going to be a really fucking strange film. I think they're probably correct with the word odd. It's going to be very odd. Just this, she's got spider powers. She can see into the future. You're just kind of like, oh, right. Nothing really interesting then. It's not quite Minority Report. It's not quite as interesting as that. But yeah, so let's go into some of the Star Wars stuff. Because I think that's Marvel out of the way. Always quicker to get Marvel stuff out of the fucking way. I'm just kind of having a look to see if we've missed anything. No, I don't believe we have. So we might as well. There's probably something to talk about with Daredevil. We'll save that sort of after this one then. Oh yeah, I did hear about that. The Ray movie getting delayed indefinitely. It's whenever it comes to Lucasfilm, like almost everything you have to take with a pinch of salt. That, oh, we're doing a Ray movie. It's like, are you really? I think you might, but are you really? I haven't got a clue until I see a trailer. That's kind of what it's like. So, with a lot of Star Wars rumors, it's like it's hard to is this one true? I don't know. Again, it's just it's because of the amount of films that they've announced and then scrapped. They announce films and never do them. Oh, we're doing a Rian Johnson trilogy. All right, you said that 5 years ago now. Never happened. It's not going to happen. But yeah, there was a bit of Star Wars to talk about. It was particularly this article. I'm not really going to go into the article that much because, again, it's because they've got to make an article. They have to go back about 5 years and get every single bit of dirt that they can. But it was this, I don't know if anyone's seen this clip going around. Basically, it was Star Wars Theory interviewing this woman. I guess she was some type of psychiatrist, something like that. But he was having a conversation with about that. What do you think about the idea that Star Wars needs more women? What do you think about the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, her comments? It was sort of to do with that. And then it was something that kind of was highlighted and, sort of focused on by some people that couldn't accept the fact. Was just, you had this woman say, girls don't care about Star Wars, which, isn't completely true. That's fucking obvious. It was more of a generalization. That's kind of what it was. It's pretty obvious that the majority of people that are fans of Star Wars are men. That's just obvious. At this point, nobody fucking likes it, so it doesn't even matter at this point. But that was kind of the main thing that people were focusing on and then twisting it to mean different things. As it said, his guest said women don't like Star Wars. Well, that's true for the most part. That doesn't mean no woman ever likes Star Wars. It's like, of course they do. We see them talking about it. But for the most part, it just doesn't make up the majority. There's nothing. I don't really see why that's a problem. Just to go, yeah, most women don't like Star Wars. Most women don't like Marvel. Most women don't like this, that, or the other. Because, I don't know, men and women are a bit different sometimes. That probably has something to do with it. But no, it's just like, now, it's 50-50. It's like, well, it's not, is it? So that's what the focus was on. It said he agreed. That, again, watching the clip, that doesn't mean to say he agreed that no woman ever liked Star Wars. But that's what the attempt is to say that was said. Sparked an internet debate. And by internet debate, they just mean some people saying, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. That's all it was. Popular streamer Star Wars Theory has brought back a familiar, if unwelcome, internet discourse. That most women don't like Star Wars. That's unwelcome, is it? Again, it's like nobody likes this fucking... Nobody likes Star Wars anymore. That's just, so maybe women are the majority now. Maybe it is. Even it's probably not a high number, is it? So Nia D, which I assume, I'm not sure. Nia D is the streamer behind Star Wars Theory. So they just sort of go, again, we don't need to go through this. we've already sort of, they were talking about Sharmino Bejanoy saying, oh, it's going to be so great, women finally shaping Star Wars, forgetting the fact that Marsha Lucas done shaped something, forgetting the fact that just 2 years ago, Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was directed by a woman, so they completely missed that. And that's kind of where the conversation started. And then they just went into the idea of, you've got people saying, oh, we need Star Wars to be about more women. You have mentalists out there like that. Rather than just going, we need better characters in Star Wars, they go with, no, we just need women. That will fix it. That's the only thing that's going to fix it. Whereas what we've seen with Ahsoka, no personality, no character, nothing to her. And then it was somehow praised. I think it won an award. I think Ahsoka won an award. I don't know. I think it was a Mary Sue article where they were talking about, oh, it's been awarded on the fact that it's got women leads, or they're great female characters. It's like, well, they're not. Are they? They're fucking terrible. Sabine is a villain, and the show doesn't recognize that. Ahsoka doesn't act like a fucking person. There's nothing there that says they're people. So, yeah, he asked her the question, do we need more women in Star Wars? No, we don't. And women don't even watch Star Wars. They don't even care about it. It's a man's little thing. Let them have it. Again, there's women that like Star Wars. It's obvious. They also don't make up the majority of people because it's more direct, or at least it was more directed at men, but it was also anybody could get into it. But that's now been twisted as, oh, you're saying women shouldn't be fans of Star Wars or they can't be. It's like, no, that's not what anybody said. So that's kind of what it got twisted as. I think they do include tweets and things like that. Star Wars Theory pushing the narrative that women aren't fans of Star Wars. It was just a generalization. But that's, again, that's what, I don't know. But yeah, pushing the narrative that women aren't fans of Star Wars on his platform by having a psychologist on there saying it's for boys. Well, it is aimed at boys. I think the kind of best quote that gets sort of, that I've heard a lot of people say, is, what's the fucking quote? Because it's like, it's pretty obvious with Disney. It's like, everything that was more aimed at boys has now been aimed at women, only the women aren't fucking interested, and they're especially not interested if it's, stuff directed at women that is just fucking terrible. If I was a woman, I'd be pretty offended by, this is for you, women. It's fucking terrible, but you're just women. You like terrible stuff. That's essentially what is being said with how they treat it. Wow, so shocked. Who knew he was a piece of shit? I do kind of have to laugh at some of the stuff with, because that's kind of the thing with Star Wars Theory. It's kind of got both sides fucking having a go at him. Any criticism that he aims at Star Wars, it's like, you fucking piece of shit. Anything that he does praise, it's like you've kind of got that on the same side. So, yeah, but just that, who knew he was a piece of shit? How dare he say that the majority of Star Wars fans are men? What a piece of shit thing to say. That's just fucking calling someone a piece of shit for that. Oh, me, I did, and most every other sane fan of Star Wars that I know. I'm just going to say, if you're a fan of current Star Wars, you might not be sane. I'm just going to put that out there. Women have always loved Star Wars. Right, that doesn't change anything. But you kind of get the idea. And women have always been a part of Star Wars. You know that, I know that, and those who seek to make a quick buck off of shaming us for being part of the fandom know that too. Again, it's just like, you can have the most simple sort of statement, and it gets turned into, you're shaming us for being fans of Star Wars. Don't believe that's what was said. They want us to be angry. They're bullies and we know better. Again, I don't really see any of this. Women can't like Star Wars. I've never seen anyone say it. But yeah, you kind of get the idea. So that's kind of been the non-troversy going about is, you know, oh, someone said that Star Wars is more of a boys thing than a girls thing. It's like, yeah. I fail to recognize the problem with that. You know, it's like me getting offended that, oh, they said I'm not a fan of Barbie because I'm a boy. You know, it's kind of fucking silly, isn't it? It's like I imagine there are some boys that like Barbie. You know, maybe they're gay. You know, that could be a possibility. You don't know. Although I'm pretty sure there's still people that, you know, like Barbie and they're not, you know, gay. But yes, Barbie is more of a girls thing. That's, you know, again, that's another obvious thing. So that was the thing going on with Star Wars. Just a bit of a non-troversy. But yeah, it's just kind of like, you know, at this point, it's like is anyone really a fan of Star Wars anymore? You know, just Star Wars in general. You know, I don't really think they exist in droves. So, you know, really getting upset about this is fucking silly, isn't it? But that's what was going on over there, you know, because there's not really anything interesting to talk about with fucking Star Wars, is there? So you might as well talk about that. It's, you know, that's how you kind of know how dead Star Wars is, when the majority of the conversations are spent on, you know, meta stuff. You know, when that's where the majority of the conversations are, and not actually on the content, it's pretty safe to say that, you know, it's dead, isn't it? So that's kind of what Star Wars has kind of become. You know, anyone that sort of praises most of these shows never talk about it again. I suppose now and again I talk about Andor, but that's the only one that's been any good, and it's one that, yeah, I'm gonna watch that again. I've seen it twice. I'm probably gonna watch it. I'm hoping the 4K comes out this year. But outside of that, I couldn't give a fuck less about, you know, just Star Wars in general. But since we're on the topic of Lucasfilm, there was something, well, I don't think it's being made by Lucasfilm, but it was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. We got a game coming for that. It's I don't really know why it's first person. It seems like a lot of things are just first person now. Because I've only recently started playing more first person stuff, but with some stuff I'm just kind of like, I would prefer third person. So that's what we've got a game coming for, and already the sort of the dreaded saying that seems to come up with a lot of stuff now, where the dev confirms Microsoft exclusive being developed for a modern gaming audience. Again, I really wish someone would be there to just go, no, don't say that. You know, again, it just comes with certain things. It's like, well, what do you mean? You know, there's in some instances, there's things where it's like saying modern audience. Yeah, I kind of understand what you mean. In other times, I'm just like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know. If you just mean modern audiences in the audience, you know, of the modern day, you know, I don't really know what it means. I don't know where this new audience has come from. But every time they say that about, you know, whether it's a game or a film or, you know, whatever it is, that seems to be a saying. Just, oh, a modern gaming audience. And it just comes with certain, you know, your mind goes to certain things where it's like, oh, you probably mean, you probably mean it's probably going to be shit. That's probably what you mean. You mean there's going to be, maybe it will go into the more political angle. You know, that's kind of what that meaning has when they say that. That's the impression I get. But every time they have to say, I don't know why they say it. I don't know what the fuck it means. Why are you saying that? You know, it's if the audience for games hasn't changed. It's still the same audience. You know, it's not as if gaming has been about since fucking 1970s, you know, in its current form. So I don't really know. You know, the gaming audience is the same gaming audience from, you know, the early 2000s to now. They're not really any different. But that's, again, it's just something that always gets said. But you know, it's pretty safe to say, it's like we've already seen the destruction of Indiana Jones just last year. This is probably just icing on the cake, you know. But yeah, that's, you know, you've already kind of done yourself in. As soon as you say, oh, it's for a modern audience, it's like you've done yourself in. Because now people, what they think you mean is we're going to fill it with, you know, current day agendas. That's what people take away from what that means. You know, maybe you don't mean it that way, but, you know, you've said it now, and most people are like, oh, I understand. But yeah, it was what was it, last week this game was announced, I think. What is it, done by Wolfenstein, where the people that made I haven't played that game. But that's, yeah, Machine Games, featuring a story penned by Bethesda Studios director Todd Howard himself. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle will see players put in first-person control of Indy, as voiced by Troy Baker, as he attempts to explore, whip, and brawl his... I just kind of noticed the image that's at the bottom there. You know, I don't quite know if you can see it. That already, that's just like, yeah, that's the haircut. They've got the haircut in there. You know, oh, this bit's gone, but oh, it goes over here. You know, doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, but it's just like, oh yeah, this is what everything has. You're just doing the haircut thing again. I don't believe someone in that time period has hair like that. But yeah, almost every game has that now, or TV show. There's always someone with this sort of side shed look. So he attempts to explore, whip and brawl his way in a globe-spanning quest to stop the villainous Emmerich Voss, as voiced by Mario Gavrilis, from making use of the eponymous Great Circle, a worldwide network of magic-heavy locations whose activation will imbue its master with great power. You know, again, with most games, it's hard to when they're sort of only announced. You know, it's hard to tell what exactly it's going to be. Because I suppose it's the same with, like, the Wolverine game that's coming up. A lot of weird shit going on with that game. So it's hard to say, but, you know, again, you've already kind of put people off just by saying that. Just by saying modern audience. It's like, I don't even know how it comes up. You know, I don't know how they get that sentence in there. It's just like, you're talking about a game. You know, this game is about this, that, and the other. We've got these interesting mechanics that do this, that. I don't really know how you get to modern audience, because it's not like they're playing on fucking different. You know, we're not 50 years into the future, so I'm just lost. But they find a way to get it in there and then instantly put people off. But that game's coming out. At the moment, I'm not really interested. I think for me, it's the same with most games. I generally wait and see what people say about it before I spend, you know, 60, 70 quid. You know, I'm gonna wait and see a bit. See, you know, the people that I watch, you know, what they say about it. Is it worth playing? Maybe I'll watch someone play it and then go, oh, this looks quite fun, actually. But generally, you know, I'm not going to be interested in a game until way later, until it's come out, and people have seen what it is. But yes, you know, we'll see. I guess we'll see. But I think there was one last thing we were going to go over. I think it was Daredevil stuff. Because that's doing you know, again, it seems like what they're doing is they're just going, oh, this is just like the show that you like, guys. We've got you know, I don't know what fucking hell. Why am I forgetting? I was gonna say Matthew Cox, and I'm like, no, it's not Matthew, is it? But yeah, we're gonna, you know, we got Charlie Cox. That's it. I don't know why I was forgetting there. You know, we got Charlie Cox coming back. We've got the Karen Page actress. We got the Foggy actress, and now they're coming out with, you know, we've got the guy returning as Bullseye. You know, again, it's just like I don't care. I'm not gonna be tricked. I'm not gonna be tricked into going, oh, this may have a chance. It's like, no, all you've done, you've got the actors that we want to see. However, the show's going to be fucking terrible, and it's going to piss me off even more, because you have to, you know, because that was the funny thing. It's like now, like Daredevil, the Netflix series is now a part of MCU. You know, it's now canon, even though it was in the fucking first place. But I think the reason why they didn't originally was because it's Disney. They think they know better. And then it was like, oh, everybody hates our shit now. Oh, right, let's connect it to someone else's legacy. You know, a show that, you know, Kevin Feige didn't have his hand in, anything like that. It was more separate from, you know, current Marvel. We're just going to attach ourselves to that now, because we haven't got a leg to fucking stand on ourselves. You know, Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, he's now Anakin Skywalker. He's now going to be wheeled out in, like we've seen with Echo, he's going to get wheeled out in there, because that's the only way to get some interest. And I think that's what we're doing with Kingpin. He's just going to be there every now and then to be fucking obliterated. We've already had him beaten fucking 70 times at this point, and now they're like, oh, we could have Kingpin as the overarching villain. It's like, nah. A deaf, one-footed woman beat him by entering his mind in a scene. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. You know, we're gonna do stuff like that, and then, you know, essentially what we have now with Kingpin is he's in the same boat as Kang. He's been beaten that many times that it's like, yeah, like, can we move on now? You know, I love the actor. I love what they've done in the Netflix series, but we've done him. He's been beaten plenty of times. You know, he's been beaten by Daredevil twice. You know, after that, it's like, where can you really go? You know, unless you go, oh, right, now we're going to do Spider-Man. You know, something like that. Instead, they go, right, well, now we're going to throw him in Hawkeye. Then we're going to have a little girl beat him on the first time she meets him, rather than actually making Kingpin a fucking threat. No, he just gets beaten in the first try. It's like they don't seem to understand why Kingpin was such a threat in the Daredevil series. It's like Daredevil came across him multiple times, got beat the fuck up, and then in the finale, he finally beats him. That's a lot more satisfying than, oh, fake Hawkeye walks up and beats him the first time. And then he gets shot in the head. For some reason, Echo fucked that up. She at a point blank range, she failed to kill him. I don't know how. How the fuck did she miss? Who knows? So we're then gonna have that happen, and then we're gonna have him in the Echo series where he gets beat by Echo as well. Someone that he really shouldn't have. But yeah, so now they're going, oh right, oh, Vincent D'Onofrio, he could be the overarching villain. So no, he's in the same boat as Kang. He's been beaten too many times. It's done. It's just done. So that's what I'm seeing for Vincent D'Onofrio. Is he's just going to pop up in everything, just as nostalgia bait, essentially. I mean, yeah, and then they sort of get, because people had a big problem, you know, with, you know, you want to see the actors that, you know, again, it's just like, I don't want any connection to the Netflix series. I don't think they don't deserve it. They just do not deserve to be connected to the legacy of that show. And now they're doing it, and now it's just like, I'm going to be really pissed off when this show comes out, aren't I? Because now that they've said, oh, this is after the events of these shows, it's just like, oh, you've ruined it. Fuck off. But that's what they're doing at the moment. It seems like every other week. Well, I mean, they're probably done now. You know, it was 2 weeks ago. They announced, because I seen it on Twitter and I just scrolled by it because I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You know, you're not gonna make me go, oh. It's like, no, because I know the script is gonna be shit. I'm just thinking about it. I'm just getting really agitated. So yeah, it was like a couple of weeks ago. I seen that the Karen and Foggy actors were coming back. You know why they didn't come back in the first place? I don't know. I think it was the fact that Disney thought they knew better, and then they were like, "Oh, we better add these in," because people were already hearing bad things about this show. So maybe if we get familiar things in, that will help it. Because I'm definitely curious what they're gonna do in this series. I'm just like, right, you've got Kingpin. Where are you gonna go with that? It's like we've had him for 3 seasons. Can we have maybe a different villain? You know, they had Bullseye somewhat in season 3, but it was mainly about Kingpin. That was more of the focus. But yeah, we'll see how that goes when it comes out. I don't. We're probably when's it meant to be coming out? Next year, sometime, something like that. But yeah, they're just going for the nostalgia bait. That's all they've got. They just go, well, we'll get familiar characters or actors. Maybe that will put people in our favor. I just, you know, I think out of all the Disney Plus series, the Daredevil show is probably going to have the most eyes on it. But I think that is going to quickly disappear once we see what it is. I mean, they've all, we're going to do 18 episodes. You can't even do fucking 5. We've seen that with it. They couldn't even do 5 episodes. And it was just filler. There was nothing in there. Nothing of substance. Just nothing. Just wasting time like they do with every series. So the idea that they were going to do 18, they don't have the ability to do that. They can't handle that. They cannot handle 18 episodes. So now I think it's been reduced to 13 episodes. So they're just copying Netflix. They're just going, well, that had 13, so we do 13 now. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be chopped down even further, because that's what happened with Echo. Echo was meant to be 9 episodes. Then it was cut down to 6, and then it was cut down to 5. So I think it's probably going to go lower than that. I think it will be 10 at the most. But we'll see. But I'm expecting just, even if it is 13 episodes, it's going to be, all the time is going to be wasted, because that's how they make their shows. They make their shows like movies, and then fill in all the shit. Just fill it in with stuff. And that's why the pacing is so bad in these series. Because they just don't know how to spend the time. They just make them like a film. It's just like, just make 20-minute episodes if you can't handle it, or just make a fucking film. You know, if you can't handle making TV. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. But you know, I'm gonna be fucking reviewing it anyway. But yeah, that's probably coming out sometime next year. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's just been nothing but trouble with that series. I mean, we've heard, you know, we went through all the articles about, we filmed all this stuff, and then Kevin Feige, once they'd done it, he thought to himself, maybe I should go and look how this is going. And then they went, oh, it's fucking terrible. Right, we need to reshoot the whole lot. So it's like the idea that they're going to fix it, it's like they've got no chance. They've got no chance of fixing that whatsoever. But I suppose that will finish us off there. Yeah, I don't think we've got much else to talk about. We covered quite a bit. Went over the Oscars. That was entertaining. That was probably the more of the boring part about the film. About the fucking stream. I don't really get that invested in the Oscars or anything like that. But yeah, we've covered a good bit. I suppose that final bit there, that was just more of a rant. That was just a rant of random things. I've just, because I haven't been streaming or making videos, I just seem to have all this pent up things that I want to say. You know, I've just got loads of things where I'm like, I've seen this about this and that. Fucking, yeah, it just pisses me off. The Daredevil show that they're doing. But I guess we will see on that front. I'm trying to think what I got going on now. Because as I say, you know, on this channel, I'm just going to be doing more streams. Like these types of streams. Just, you know, if there's 2 or 3 things to talk about, you know, I'll boot up a stream. So it maybe it'll be 1 stream a week, or it could be 5. You know, it just depends. You know, the start of the year is fucking quiet, so it's probably not going to be, you know, as many as that. But yeah, I'm hoping just the more streams I do, it sort of get me back in there. You know, doing what I was doing. And then we can finally get back to making videos and stuff like that. Outside of that, I'm still kind of working on stuff for my new channel. You know, I put out the Marvels review. That done quite well. That kind of, I was surprised how well that sort of went off. You know, for like a very first video. So I was quite happy with that. So now I'm just, because I was originally going to do a video on Echo. I kind of got to the end of scripting it. I'm like, I'm not going to spend an hour. I'm not going to spend a week editing that. It's not worth the effort whatsoever. So I suppose the next video on there is probably going to be Madam Web. But I'm trying to figure out what I can work on. So I'll have another video come out sort of right after I do the Madam Web video. At the moment, I'm kind of stuck between. I'm just trying to figure out what video can I do. You know, I want to do something for Arcane. I want to do something for House of the Dragon. You know, I'm kind of thinking about things like, well, the season 2 of Arcane's coming out. Season 2 of House of the Dragon's coming out. So maybe I can do some type of thing that just to sort of recap everything. More of, what's the word? More of just, I don't know, catching up with it. Something like that. Because I think with Arcane House of the Dragon, it's like there's no point doing, you know, an hour video on each episode where it's like people have done that already. So I'm kind of thinking about, right, I want to do maybe review each episode in the space of 10 minutes. And then sort of just put the one video out, and that's sort of a recap. But those are kind of the 2 videos I'm thinking of at the moment. That would seem the most the sort of best use of my time, considering I'm gonna review them when they come out, sort of episode by episode. But yeah, hopefully I figure it out, and then I can get a start to summon. Because I was sort of thinking about the idea of doing the killer. So I rewatched that yesterday just to make sure if it was one. Do I want to do this one? And I was kind of like, you know, I really like the film. But it just, I don't think I'd have as much passion about it. So I'm going to leave that one for the minute. But yeah, we'll see. So we'll see what goes on the new channel. Other than that, on this channel, the next stream is going to be breaking down every episode of Echo, which probably not going to take us that long, but I'll probably be doing that on Saturday, the same time as today. I'll set that stream up so people know it's fucking happening. And then we've sort of done Echo. We've covered fucking Echo, and that's out of the way. You know, I've not got much interest to cover it, but I'm kind of like, you know, I've got the channel for those particular streams. I've only hit 10 at the moment, so I kind of need to do one. So that's what's coming, but yeah, we'll finish off there. And I guess I will see you on the next one.